Joining me now on set is the fifth president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko. Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation, Kristen.
It is an honor to have you. I wish it were under different circumstances. It is hard to believe that we are approaching year 3 of this devastating conflict that has claimed so many Ukrainians' lives. How would you describe the state of this war right now? What are you seeing on the ground?
Kristen, you are right. This is the 3 years in 2 weeks of 11th year's war. I was elected as a president when Putin attacked Crimea, when Putin attacked Donbass. And we don't have army, we don't have a partnership, we don't have money, we don't have nothing. But we fight, we create the armed forces, we demonstrate a unique unity. And now it is a turning point of this war. Definitely we count on our American partners, we count on the President Trump. I know what I'm talking about because 3 years of my presidency I work with Donald Trump as a president. And I received first lethal weapons from Trump. I received the first intensive sanction against Nord Stream of Russia pipeline under the Trump. And we received a big package of the defense industry under the Trump as a result of my meeting with him in an Oval Cabinet. That's why Trump is not only the challenge, Trump is an opportunities. And I really welcome his phrase, the peace through strength, because you cannot find out any other nation in the world who wants peace more than we Ukrainians, because we pay the highest price for that. And today I was on the prayer breakfast, and I was very much happy that Trump make a direct address to Ukraine, direct address to the process of peace, and I really wish him all together with the General Kellogg, together with the National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, that it would be extremely important now to know his plan, peace through strength, because peace through weakness would be capitulation of Ukraine, and that would be capitulation not only Ukraine, but capitulation of NATO and capitulation of United States. This is definitely not the Trump style.
Did you make a direct appeal for him for more military, more financial support?
This is the key component that Ukraine should come strong on the negotiation. For that we need weapons, for that we need sanction, for that we need defense industry and switch economy on the military rail. For that we need unity, and unity I'm talking about internal unity, because Ukrainian nation should be united, and transatlantic unity with the United States having bipartisan support. And because of this bipartisan support, I work hard now in the Congress, both House and Senate, with the State Department, with the Trump team, because to deliver the messages about how far we can go, because Putin understands only one language, and this language is not Russian, not English, or not German. This is language of strength, and we can go with Putin as far as stronger we will be.
I want to play you something that President Trump said earlier this week about what he thinks the terms of providing more military aid to Ukraine should look like. Take a listen.
So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things. I want to have security of rare earth. We're putting in hundreds of billions of dollars. They have great rare earth, and I want security of the rare earth. And they're willing to do it.
And just to emphasize what the president is saying, he says, I want to have security of rare earth. We're putting in hundreds, billions of dollars. They have great rare earth. And I want security of rare earth, and they're willing to do it. Basically saying that he is potentially willing to provide more military aid in exchange for some of the rare minerals in Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz called the proposal, quote, selfish. How do you see it?
I consider that this is not an exchange, security for minerals. I think that this is the message that Trump want to promote the American investment in Ukraine, including the Ukraine for mineral industry. This is one of the key components of the security factor, American investment, together with the maybe or probably European troops deployment, together with the delivering more weapons and make it more sophisticated. From the very beginning, I want to send a message. Please stop understand the supply weapons to Ukraine from NATO, from US, from European Union as a charity. This is not a charity. This is investment in your own security. And to stop Putin in Ukraine would be easier, cheaper than to do it in some European nation, or who knows, maybe tomorrow this crazy guy make a decision to attack by ballistic missiles any NATO member states. With this situation, more effective, cheaper to stop it in Ukraine by investment in your own security.
When you think about stopping the war, President Zelensky says he is willing to sit down with President Putin and have direct talks. Do you support that strategy?
I think that we should be more clear with these messages. Again.
So you don't necessarily support that strategy?
No. I tell you what I'm supporting. We are interested in the peace talks, undoubtedly. But it should be 5 non-compromise. First, non-compromise on the sovereignty and national identity. We never be again the Russian colony. No compromise on the territorial integrity of Ukraine. We never give up and never give any tiny piece of Ukrainian land occupied. Non-compromise on the Ukrainian armed forces, which I created, and that would be a key factor of security. Non-compromise on sanction. It should be sanction from the hell to cut Putin's ability to finance the war. And non-compromise on our transatlantic future.
Let me ask you quickly, because we're almost out of time. In our final minute, President Trump surprised everyone with the USAID funding freeze. In fiscal year 2023, Ukraine was the largest recipient of assistance from USAID. What has the impact of that freeze been on your country?
I think that Trump has the rights as a president who most of Americans vote for him, connected all the have to make this budget spending more efficient. I'm absolutely confident that that would not be stopped, but I'm absolutely confident that it is just suspended. And this is the key element of the global leadership of the United States, of delivering the standard for freedom and democracy. And we should not only win the war, we should win the peace. And for that, we should continue the reform, including the financing the reform process in Ukraine.
President Poroshenko, thank you so much for being here. An honor to have you, the 5th president of Ukraine. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.